Hey everybody, it's Kyla at the MJC again, and I'm here today to walk you guys through the second section of the fee waiver. But before I get started, I just want to remind everybody that nothing in this video is intended to be legal advice. It's obviously a video, so I'm not able to analyze your specific situation. I can't tell you whether the form that you're filling out is the right form for you, whether what you're asking for is in your best interest given your situation, or whether a court is going to approve whatever it is you are asking for in your forms. So if you have questions about those sort of things, I would recommend getting some legal advice from an attorney. You can talk to an attorney for free here in Milwaukee County for at least brief legal advice through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. And if you aren't located in Milwaukee, then you can talk to the clerk of court for your county to find out what resources are available in your area. All right, so let's get on to the form. So the very first part here, as always, we're going to fill in the caption. And as you guys may remember from an earlier video, caption is just a fancy word for this top section here. So here we're going to enter the county where your case is located. Oh, and I'll see if I can get it to click. There we go. We're going to put in Milwaukee. And then here, this is going to match whatever you put on the form that is accompanying this fee waiver. So if you filled out a petition for a small claims, or a summons and petition in a divorce, or a post-judgment, whatever the order of the names were on that document is how you'll put them here. And if you have more questions about the caption, I did go into a little bit more detail on the video about section 1 of the fee waiver. All right, so we've got that there. You'll put the case number. The case number, again, will just be the same case number from the case where you're filing your documents. If you don't have a case number yet, you may not. If you're starting a case brand new, then you can leave that blank. Here you're going to check that you're unable to pay the filing or service fees. The first section here is if you receive state assistance like food share or Badger Care, or if you receive SSI. I have more information about that in our Doing the Fee Waiver Section 1 video. So I'm going to skip that for now and do Section 2. You'll do Section 2 if you're trying to get in based on your income because you don't receive state assistance like food share or Badger Care, or if you do receive those programs but your financial situation has changed. Maybe you got a job, maybe you won the lottery, or whatever happened, and now in your new improved situation, you're not sure if you would still be eligible for those benefits. All right, so the first question just wants to know if you're currently married. So here we're filling this out as John Smith, and he is not married right now. Down here, if you're employed, you're going to put the name of your employer. So we know from our previous videos, John is working, and he works at Awesome LLC. This next line wants to know your gross pay from your job. And so this line doesn't apply if you aren't currently working, but for those of you who are, you're going to put your income before taxes. And you can do that weekly. So if you get paid every week, you do weekly. So John might be, say, $500 here. Or if you get paid bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks, you get paid like every other Friday, you could put in that amount. Twice monthly is if you get paid on set days during the month. So instead of every other Friday, maybe you get paid on the 1st and the 15th, or the 15th and the 30th. That would be twice monthly. And then monthly would obviously be if you get paid once a month. And you can just look on your pay stubs to find out sort of what that gross amount is and how it's reported. But for a lot of people, it's every 2 weeks, so we'll leave it that way. And then this is what your actual take-home is. So your take-home pay is after they've taken out any payroll taxes and any garnishments like child support, or if you have like an income garnishment of some kind, whatever's left, again, per pay period. So for John, this would all be every 2 weeks. Number 4, this next line, is where you're going to put any income that you receive from pension, disability, Social Security, student loans, unemployment, or any similar type programs. So if you don't receive any, if John didn't get any, we would say NA. If you do receive something, again, you're just going to write the amount that you receive in this line, and then check where it's from. And you could check multiple boxes. If I get $1,200 from Social Security and disability, so that's like two numbers added together, let's say 800 in Social Security and 400 in disability, I could put that there. If you do have an other source of income that doesn't fit into these categories, you can include it here. Next, under number 5, you're going to put if you have a savings or a checking account, and you're going to list those accounts even if they don't have any money in them, even if they only have a little bit. So I have $10 in a savings account, we're still going to list that here. You'll also do it if the amount is negative. So if I have a negative amount, you would list that as well. If you don't have something, let's say John doesn't have a savings account, then you can just leave that section blank. Here, if you have any cash on hand, $5 in your wallet or a jar full of pennies on top of your fridge, you're going to estimate how much that is. So there we've got $20. If anybody owes you money, that'll go on this line. Here under the other asset section, you're going to put any vehicles that belong to you. So if you have a car that belongs to you, you'll list it even if it has a loan on it. So some people might have a car that's worth, say, $5,000, but they owe $10,000 on the loan. You'll still list that vehicle here. You'll put the year and the make. So we'll say a 2019 Honda. And then here, next to the dollar sign, roughly how much you think you could sell that car for. So what is that car worth right now? And again, that's not the money that you would get if you sold it. It might be that all that money would go to the loan. It's just what you think it's worth approximately. Here we're going to put if you have any household furnishings that belong to you. So a lamp, a rug, if you have a desk or a bed or a table, all that kind of stuff would be household furnishings, and a rough estimate of what you could sell it for. So one thing people end up doing is they kind of overestimate what the stuff is worth because they'll put what they paid for it as opposed to what they could sell it for now. So keep that in mind. This line here, this one I'm checking, that one is for equity in real estate. And so what that means is if you have a piece of real estate, so if you own your house or you own a piece of hunting land or something like that, you would want to include that if the house itself is worth more than the mortgage. So if I have a house that's worth $50,000 and the loan on it is $25,000, then I would have $25,000 equity in real estate. If, however, that house I own that's worth $50 has a loan of $75,000, so the loan is more than the amount the property is worth, I don't need to list anything here because that doesn't have equity because it's underwater. And then on this last line, you can list anything else that didn't get included in all this stuff up above that's worth more than $200. So let's say John has a watch, and that watch is worth $250. Would list it here. Here on my household consists of myself, so me, one person, and how many other people live with you. So you'll put just the number of people who are living with you. I'm just going to put 1 here. And then John would list the name of the person who lives with him. So again, if anyone's been watching our previous videos, we know that his daughter, Sally Smith, so we'll say she lives with him. And here you'll indicate whether or not that person is under age 18. So in this case, Sally is under 18. Here's where you're going to put if the other members of your household, I should note, if you don't have other members of your household, you can put 0 there. If you have other members of your household who aren't related to you, like a roommate or somebody, you would still list them, put their name, relationship, roommate, and whether they're under 18. The other members of your household, their gross income, so what the total of that is. So let's say in our situation, maybe Sally gets SSI for herself, or maybe if she's a teenager, she has a job. You would indicate, what her monthly amount she contributes to the household is. If you're unsure about that, you can put unknown, but do keep in mind that the court may have additional questions about that when you turn this in. Or if they don't have any income right now, then you would just put 0, and in that case, you wouldn't need to check what the source is. Down here is where you're going to put your debts. So again, if you have a mortgage, you'll put the amount of the mortgage there and the total monthly payment that you have. If you don't have a mortgage, if you just have a rent payment, then what we have you do is we put NA on this line, and I know that when I do NA on this form, sometimes it'll set it to 0, but we want it to be NA. Then here for a car loan, again, if they have, we'll do 15, the amount of the loan and the monthly payment. Again, if you don't have this, you can just put NA on those lines. Any credit card debt that you have here on this side under amount, the total amount that's owed on it, and then over here under the monthly payment, what you pay per month towards it. Here you can put other stuff. Some common ones that we see are student loans. Some people have medical debts or back taxes. These could all go here. And again, just a rough estimate of how much it is. Student loans are always really high, so we'll make that a high number. And, medical debts, just a rough estimate of the medical debts. And again, if you have other debts that you have, you can include those as well. On this line is where you'll put if you have any unusual expenses. So not ordinary living expenses, so not like your utility bill or buying food or anything like that, but unusual expenses that you have that wouldn't be ordinary living expenses. So most people wouldn't have those sorts of expenses. And then all you have to do is this signature block over here. They do want a lot of information from you. So you'll put in your name, your birthday, you'll put in your street address. And ideally, we like to put the city and state, but if you can't fit those, so if you're handwriting or something like that, then make sure you do at least put your zip code. You'll put an email address here. If you don't have an email address, you can just go ahead and leave that blank. And then a good phone number for you. And if you know you're going to sign it today, then you can put the date. But do note that this document has to be notarized, so it needs to be signed in front of a notary. So if you aren't sure if you're going to be able to get in front of a notary today, you might leave the date line blank so you can date it when you sign it. You can find notaries in the Milwaukee County Courthouse in room 104. You can also find them at some banks and some post offices. And yeah, that is filling out section 2 of that form. Thank you guys, as always, for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. If you need additional assistance, you can always come down to the Milwaukee Justice Center located in room G9 of the Milwaukee County Courthouse, and we can give you guys some further information on filling out this form. All right, good luck, go out there, and represent yourselves well.